RJ. Another Kraken loss, but, you know, looked a heck of a lot better than last night.
For sure. And it looked from the start like we might have another repeat of last night, and it was kind of headed in that same direction. But it was a really good sign that the Kraken prevented it from getting as bad as it was and really kind of helped turn the game around. They came up just short, but I think there are some more encouraging signs to take away from this one as opposed to last night.
For sure, for sure. And already we're seeing it in the chat, and we're seeing it behind you. And that is, of course, Yanni Gord making his Kraken debut a lot earlier than expected. Back at the expansion draft, Ron Francis said, oh, maybe November, maybe December, somewhere in there. No, how about 5 games into the season?
Yeah, I mean, that's the best sign for the Kraken both tonight and going forward. And I think that's something we can all be happy about. I had to add the Yanni Gord jersey to the set for tonight. He's back, and I thought he looked very good. But, as someone who went to training camp every single day, I can't say I'm all that surprised after seeing this. Obviously, with the initial timeline in December, you'd think this is kind of, crazy short of a return. But yeah, he just looked great out there from the very start. He looked great tonight, so I was happy to see him back.
Yeah, I mean, he looked great. He had energy, and that's something that, we've talked about. Maybe the Kraken have been missing that. His arrival into the lineup shows that, yes, they were indeed missing that because, you know, he was clearly playing at a whole different gear than everyone else.
Yeah, for sure. And that's one of the things that he just brings, day in and day out. Bringing that energy. He was asked before the game, what are you hoping to bring? And he said, my energy. And he definitely brought that tonight. His line, looked very dangerous at times for the Kraken. They had a few good chances early on. And Gord was a big part of that, setting up some passes. They just couldn't connect. But yeah, I think that's probably the spot for him too. So I was happy to see that. And I love the smile too, as he got into that shoving match early in the game with, was it Hamilton Seathall? He was just shoving and he's just smiling the whole time, which is something we saw at training camp. And good to see that get into a game. He's just so happy to be back.
Yeah, and during that first period Tanev fight, he was chirping from the bench there too. He's definitely involved. I agree. I liked him on the first line. It took Eberle and Schwartz about a whole period to kind of wake up to how quick he was playing and the fact that he doesn't play to the system, so to speak, in that he just wants to be creative. He's going to take what the defense gives him. If he sees an opening to make a pass, he's going to make the pass. And it took about a period for Eberle and Schwartz to kind of get on that same page, but I think they did certainly by the end of the game. But yes, all that stuff is kind of what separates guys like him from everybody else in the league. It's what separates teams like his former team Tampa Bay from all the other teams in the league, right? It's just that you got to go. You got to have that motor, that constant motor, to get out there and get stuff done. We'll go ahead and move over to chat. Disappointing loss. Hard to win on the road when down 2-0. Yeah, especially the very last leg of a road trip that's been pretty brutal as far as the amount of games and the amount of days they've had to play. Already kind of struggling offensively to begin with. So anytime they give themselves that kind of hole, it's rough.
Right. I mean, you just can't spot the other team 2 goals like that when in that circumstance.
Yeah. Good. Gord is looking fresh, ready to go for sure. Joey Decord got dialed in as it went along. He really did. I thought he was pretty dialed in from the beginning. The defense kind of let him down.
Right. I wouldn't put really any of those goals on him. I was just thinking going one by one. None of those were his fault. And personally, I thought he was the Kraken's best player tonight.
I do too. He definitely, when we do our 3 stars, he's up there. Yeah, first goal, Larson pinches up into the offensive zone. 11 on the Devils makes a great play, putting his body between Larson and the puck. It allows Ryan Graves to get the puck, move it up to Tatar. Kraken were on a line change, so Tatar was just kind of left wide open all the way over there. And then, because Larson had pinched up, that's why you have that 2-on-1 that, of course, the Devils capitalized on. Second goal, again, it was just kind of like everybody was standing around in their own zone, letting, Jack Hughes just walk wherever he wanted to walk. They were just cycling the puck. Vince Dunn, not sure what he was doing on that goal. He was just kind of sitting there.
You know what? I'm going to defend Dunn on that one because he was on his guy. It was actually Jordan Eberle who lost Severson, who was pinching down low.
Yeah, I know. but again, Vince Dunn was also letting the guy behind him,
That's true. I mean, like
like
he wasn't
like
doing the great job guarding his guy either, but Severson, who knocked that rebound in, wasn't his guy. That was Everly's guy.
yeah, yes. But again, it's just defensive breakdowns. You know, they don't they don't pressure the puck carrier. They just let guys get behind them like Dunn did there. What do teams do against the Kraken? What are we frustrated with watching the Kraken in the offensive zone, right? It's that none of the Kraken players ever seem to have time and space to work. Why are we not doing that to the other team? That's what I want to know. Just way too passive. And then on the third goal, Gordon Giordano they both went after the puck carrier that left the slot completely wide open. Again, tough. That would be a tough save for any goalie to make. So yeah, Decourt I thought played a really, really good game. Shame to hear about Drieger getting hurt last night, but
yeah, I mean that was surprising to all of us. I think I don't know. I went back and rewatched the last like 10 minutes or so of the last game. I didn't notice anything. He looked fine.
Yeah, so we'll see what they put him on IR, so he's obviously not day to day with anything.
Yeah, he's out at least 10 days.
Yeah, so
Decourt might have to get another start. We'll see. Although that doesn't seem like the worst thing in the world, really. He's
been
playing great. So
it really doesn't. It was good to see that he kind of picked up where he left off in the preseason.
Yeah.
The bad Giordano was awful tonight, and we have some people agreeing with that. I would agree with that as well. He was really, really, not great.
Yeah. I capped it off with that awful turnover in the third period. Just you give the other team a point blank chance. It was definitely not his night tonight. He's overall had a strong season for the Kraken, but yeah, he just had a really off night tonight.
Yeah, it was almost like at times he just had a hard time getting his feet under him. Like there was a lot of times where he just wasn't. It was looking like he was trying to move, but he wasn't. I don't know quite what was going on there. But a lot of times also where he was a little indecisive about coming up to play aggressively, both offensively and defensively, and then not fully committing to it. But he's committed enough that he can't quite get back in time. Like there was just a lot of stuff you don't expect a veteran in his position to do. Hope Geeky is back on Saturday. Yeah, that was.
Yep. I mean, we might as well go talk about that hit because that's something. I mean, I was on Twitter obviously throughout the game tweeting, and that's something that definitely got the most traction of anything that we talked about. I posted the video of that hit. Yeah, I mean, it was a shoulder to the chin. That's what I said in the tweet. That's what it looked like at first glance after watching it over a bunch of times. I stand by it. It was a shoulder to the chin, and I think certainly should have been a penalty. But yeah, that's a tough one to take. So Dylan, first, I guess, what do you think about the hit before we move on to Donato and the fight?
Yeah, it was. I could see how it would be a close call on the ice if you're the official looking at it, just angle wise where the refs were and stuff. Obviously, we have the benefit of replay. I think it's one that the league will look at. I don't know that a suspension will be coming from it though.
I wouldn't. I mean, that's it. I think it was definitely worthy of a penalty, and it's a tough one quickly, but I don't think it's worthy of any supplemental discipline. I will say that.
Yeah. So in that sense, it's just unlucky for the Kraken, and obviously we hope Geeky is back sooner rather than later. Appleton was definitely off his game tonight. Yeah, I mean, he's kind of been off all season.
Yeah, and then I see a later comment. What exactly is Appleton's game? Not a Jets fan, so it's an honest question. Dylan, I mean, I know you've watched a fair amount of him because we figured he was someone who was likely to be on the Kraken through the expansion draft. So we watched a lot of him last season. I mean, Dylan, help explain what exactly is Appleton's game.
I don't know, right? Like a lot of times last year watching the Jets, he's better with his positioning here in Seattle, if you can believe that. Watching him a lot last year with the Jets, he was just all over the place. You never knew what wing he was playing because he was just kind of wherever the puck was. But at the same time, when he had the puck, he was driving to the net a lot. That's something, you've seen him do in morning skates at practices throughout training camp, but he's not doing it in games. But that's a big
Yeah.
part of what made him effective as a good, depth player for the Jets last year was his ability to drive to the net. Might not always score a goal doing that, but he was, getting the defense flustered. The goalie was generally having to move and engage with him. Any sort of rebound opportunity is, of course, there. That's something we've talked about numerous times now. So I don't know if they're kind of forcing him into a system and he's just kind of thinking too much about where he's supposed to be, what he's supposed to be doing, and he's not just kind of playing his game. But yeah, there's something off there, and I'm kind of surprised that he's had as many opportunities in the lineup as he has, considering all the mixing and matching they've been doing elsewhere.
Yeah, he's been moved up and down the lineup quite a bit and just hasn't really found a spot that works for him so far. Yeah, the net drive is something I really just want to see in a game because it's rare to have players that will like him that will consistently, drive the net enthusiastically in a game because you are going to get punished doing that, but it's also going to result in a lot of offense. So I just want to see that from him in a game because I know he can do it and I know he can be effective doing that.
Yeah. We kind of ran into 3 hot goalie performances in a row. We finally have one let in a bit of a softie, and it's called back on an offsides. Yeah, that Wenberg goal, unfortunately, was called back. Yeah, I mean, yes, we've run into 3 good goalie performances, but at the same time, I haven't felt like, the Kraken have done too much to kind of change that. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
they've had some some bad bounces at times, but at the same time, they're not exactly pressing the issue as far on offense that much.
And part of that is generating the type of chances that we talked about last night in post game, those chaotic chances in front of the net that, if you do it right, takes the goalie out of it completely. It doesn't matter how hot the goalie is or how well he's playing. If you jam home a rebound with an open net, it doesn't matter what the goalie does. So they haven't created enough of those chances. I know you sent me a text intermission talking about the net front presence and how there was, one dot on the heat map from the Kraken in front of the net, but it was like their only shot. So yeah, more of that.
Yeah, that's something. It feels like they're slowly starting to get there, but obviously, if they could speed up that process, that would be great. Noticing the Kraken going off sides a lot, are they above league average on being offside? I don't necessarily have a number for that, but I will 100% agree with that. That's something, I talked about it last time. They only want to enter the zone along the boards. They absolutely refuse to just skate into the zone up the middle, even if they have space and they've got momentum. Perfect example was Mason Appleton. 9:41 left in the first. He has the ability to skate right up the middle. He's got all the momentum. Both guys are completely dead stopped on either side of him on the blue line because they had to stop there. He's got, again, plenty of space to go in, and he just passes it over to another guy. His momentum carries him into the zone before, his line mate is able to get into the zone. Why? Like, I just don't get it. Yanni Gourde was the only guy willing to just, skate up the middle with the puck, into the slot where you can maybe get a good, dangerous scoring opportunity.
And he did. I mean, that's what was so refreshing to see is that he was able to create things a lot of the time just by being willing to skate up the middle, when other players weren't. So hopefully that's something they change, before the first home game.
Right. And, that kind of plays into this next one. I'm already not liking the coaching. Yeah, this was the game where I kind of felt like Hackstall had the opportunity after last night to maybe try to shake things up. You have Yanni Gourde coming back in, and it just felt like, more of the same.
Yeah, it did. And I mean, that's one where looking at Hackstall kind of through training camp and so far this season, it seems like he's not all that aggressive as far as the implementation of his systems. Like and we knew this a little bit about him kind of going into everything, given his Flyers tenure. He was more of a development-oriented coach who would kind of rather take extra time to implement the system and kind of make sure you try and get it right, rather than like rushing into it and making sure that just trying to get everyone on the same page right away. And, he's kind of a slow and steady wins the race type of guy. And I think we're seeing the effects of that early on. Of course, the other side to that is, you still have to have these changes take effect eventually. And so now it's on him to make sure that gets implemented now that they have a little time before this home game. If this is the way the Kraken are still playing in, 2-3 weeks, then I think it rightfully be frustrated and start talking about Haxtell and what are you doing. But given the circumstances of the start of this season, I'll give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt so far. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't look good early on, but maybe part of that is something that comes with the territory.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with that. I want to see what they do with this time off now. Of course, fly back to Seattle. You got, about 4 days to regroup before Vancouver at that home opener on Saturday. But yeah, you do want to see a little bit more than just kind of, moving one guy around in the lineup, which is what they've been doing. Interesting choice not to start Donato with Geeky in this game. I wasn't a fan of that.
No, I wasn't either. And putting Donato on that, fourth line with Sheehan and who else was he with? Because Bastion was up.
Uh, oh
Appleton?
Gosh, I can't
Yeah, it was
remember.
Appleton.
Yeah.
Appleton.
Yeah.
That just doesn't fit.
No.
And I liked some of the plays Donato made in this game too. Like he was one of the few guys that was really aggressive around the net, trying to create those chaos chances. And he just, given the nature of who he's playing with, he just didn't have as many opportunities to do that. I would like to see him higher up in the lineup going forward.
Yeah, he's only had a great scoring opportunity in every game. I don't let's put him on the fourth line. That makes sense to me. Alexei could have done better to break up the first goal. Yeah, it's a tough position when you're the defenseman on a 2-on-1. He did kind of what I was saying you should do, which is he played the pass. Let Joey Decord, be able to focus on the one goalie. It was just, he maybe went down a little early, you could say, but otherwise it was just the perfect saucer pass right over his stick.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to hand it to, the offensive player making a pass like that. That takes a lot of skill. And also it's just tough when you're the one guy stranded back there on a 2-on-1. Like, anyone who's like you've played hockey at any level and they've gotten stuck back there defending a 2-on-1, it is so difficult. It's so difficult.
Yeah, that being said, he's got one of the longest reaches in hockey. He could have maybe been poke checking. You could still kind of position yourself to defend the pass, but maybe use your stick a little bit more.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I definitely concede that. We're consistent at giving up early goals. Yeah. Part of that's been just bad luck. We've had chances earlier in games and they haven't necessarily gone in, but it's just hard playing from behind in general, much less on the road.
Yeah, I think there were a couple this game that, if the Kraken had buried them early on, it could be a very different game momentum wise. You've seen that both of the last two nights where, there's been some timely saves from the other goalie and it goes back the other way.
Yeah. It seemed like they just couldn't handle the puck tonight. 100% agree with that. That's something that we've kind of noticed the last couple games, definitely last night in the Flyers game. Kraken just have issues settling pucks down. I certainly felt come the third period tonight, guys' heads were up a lot trying to make plays, and then they weren't, fully receiving passes. That I get because you're playing from behind, but otherwise, we have seen that quite a bit, or passes aren't really tape to tape. A lot of passes go behind guys. I gotta think though that's just getting used to playing with each other. The never-ending shuffling of the lineup hasn't been helping that as far as building chemistry. But yes, it could be cleaned up. Not sure of Giordano's ice time, but they can't have him logging major minutes. Yeah, and he hasn't been.
Yeah, I'm going to check what it was for tonight. He played 25 minutes tonight.
Wow. It didn't seem like it.
No.
But he certainly hasn't been playing that the last couple games. So,
man, there was some big ice time. Like, it was pretty slanted this game. You got Giordano with 25 minutes, Eberle with 23, Schwartz with 22, Gord with 22, which is high for forwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Donato with only 9:35. I would have liked to see more than that.
That's you got to have more ice time than your number. Kind of playing off that, Gio's getting a little older, end of long road trip where he's been trying to do everything as a leader, might be a little worn down. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think all of them are probably getting worn down from the road trip. Again, it was a road trip that's
only tougher when you're 38 too.
Exactly, and it was a road trip that started off not conventional at all. And just kind of started off on the wrong foot, and they've been playing catch up ever since, I think, as far as emotions and trying to be consistent and stable and all that stuff. I was going to ask, in hockey, is a hit to the head slash neck automatically reviewable from Toronto? It's done in the NFL automatic review if something's missed regarding head or neck targeting. I don't believe so.
No, it's not. It's not in
Yeah.
hockey. But interesting concept though. I don't know. I feel like the execution in hockey would be really bad. Just knowing the NHL and how I just feel like we'd see these long, long reviews, and it would. Yeah, I don't know if they would be able to execute that well.
Yeah, reviews in hockey are always a lot harder than something like the NFL where you have natural stoppages, right? In hockey, you could, in theory, you could go the whole 20 minutes of a period without ever blowing the whistle. So, I just think that's one of those things they don't necessarily want to bring in. That and the NHL is the last league to bring in anything when it comes to, technology or anything like that. Common sense, generally, we're the last to do it. Um, McCann has a nasty wrister. Love watching that guy shoot. Yep,
Oh, absolutely.
that
That one
that
on the
goal was
5-on-3 was gorgeous, and they had nothing going on that 5-on-3 before that really. And he's just like, all right, I'm gonna do this myself.
Right.
Beautiful
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah, and a couple comments later, Neptune bringing up wanting to see McCann centered by Gord. Would you break up Schwartz and Eberle as the top line wingers just because they haven't been doing much?
You know what? I mean, after these last two games, I give it one game at home where you kind of go with basically what you've been going with before. And if they have another game where they kind of come out flat for a while and it doesn't work, yes, I would do that. I mean, it's a long season too. You want to know what works, what doesn't. You can't expect to keep those two together all 82 games, unless it's going really well. But it's not.
RJ, we're like 4% into the season. It's panic button time.
Yeah, clearly.
We're in the media now, RJ. That's how this works.
That's right.
Um, 3 hot goalies or 1 cold offense. Probably a bit of both. Hot goalies.
Yeah.
Bernier's not a good goalie. Yeah, I mean, we're pretty familiar with Bernier from all his Kings days. He can get hot though. Like that is something.
He can.
Offense is making any goalie look like a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, you never like to see that, but yeah.
Yeah. Biggest problem with the offense is how much they rely on shots from the perimeter. Nobody is consistently screening the goalkeeper. Yeah, 100% agree. We've been talking about that. Gotta work it down into the zone. You can take those shots from the perimeter, assuming they can get through. Now they've been they're slow taking those shots from the point. I feel like the defensemen, when they receive the puck, they kind of wait for a second. It allows, the opposing team to get in position to block it. You just gotta let that one, go. So once they maybe fix that, then those perimeter shots can get in, and that's where the forwards up front can maybe create some chaos. But
yeah,
but for right now,
and I did tweet about that. Yeah, mid game, they need to be a little better with their shot selection and not, shoot pucks right into the shin guards of the defenders because it's creating rushes the other way.
Mm-hmm. Still don't understand why Hackstall versus any other seasoned coaches out there. Yeah, I mean, he was a little bit out of left field. I like the idea of going with a developmental coach for an expansion team. Traditionally, those would have a lot of younger players. You're going to have, some high draft picks, in the traditional sense. This year we got Beniers. Ideally, we wouldn't have another high draft pick for a while. But so I understand going with a development coach, but I do think that also after Vegas, we kind of saw that, these expansion teams with the new rules, they aren't just filled with young guys that are maybe late bloomers that you're looking to, kind of get that out of them. You're getting guys that are ready to go, second, third line guys. So, maybe, yeah, that was something to consider. Said hot goalie performances, not hot goalies. That's a good distinction.
Important distinction to make.
Yeah. There were a few times that forwards were making an extra pass, not taking shots. Yep. That continues to be a theme for the team. There's quite a few guys on this team that feel afraid to shoot at times. Don't really understand that, especially guys like Eberle that weren't like that before.
No, they weren't. I mean, maybe it's just this still new team feeling uncertain about what's around you, but it's one of those where you'd think instinct would just kind of take over and you want to shoot, especially a guy like Eberle who, has a history of scoring goals.
Mm-hmm. Donato took exception to that hit on Geeky, immediately took care of it. Yeah, and that is one thing we've seen from this team is everybody seems willing to stand up for everyone else. A lot of fights so far
Yeah.
in Seattle Kraken history.
Yes, more than I would have thought for sure. And guys that you wouldn't always think too. I mean, Ryan Donato's last fight was in the AHL. That's his first NHL fight. But I love that he took it upon himself to
Hmm.
answer for that, because sometimes you're just the closest guy to something like that, and you need to make sure that the opponent gets a message like that. And I'm so glad that he went and did that. It's not easy, to
Hmm.
go and jump in and take that fight when, especially, you've never fought in the NHL before. But another thing I can rave about with Ryan Donato since he's come to the Kraken. Great on him, and great job from the PK killing it off. It's important to be able to do that where you could stand up for a teammate and not have it end up in the back of your net.
Yeah, that's one of those unfortunate aspects of the instigator penalty, but yeah, I'm all for it. We saw it on the other side. Lauzon having to, it was a clean hit that he had on Hughes.
Yep.
Unfortunately, Hughes got hurt. Looked definitely looked like a shoulder. Um,
Hmm.
Hopefully he's okay, but that's the way it goes when you take out the star player. You do have to
Yep.
answer the
And you
bell.
knew that was coming. And Lausanne knew it was coming.
Hmm.
Everyone in the building knew it was coming. That's just it's part of the game.
Yeah, maybe stop fighting when the linesman gets in between you. That's
Yeah,
something that they
I
could
would
have.
say so.
That's
Yep.
generally a good idea, but Everlay's still so close, but no joy. Yeah, it's gonna happen eventually. I gotta think.
Yep.
I
It
feel
it
like
will.
I feel like these last two games he's been getting a little more active, getting down in there where
Hmm.
things could happen for him. So
And what's tough is I don't even mind, like, the big save from Carter Hart yesterday. I don't mind how he played that at all. He got it to the front of the net as fast as he could on the breakaway. I don't mind the move that he made to the backhand. It was a good move, just a good save by Bernier. So he's doing all the right things. It's going to go in for him at some point.
hmm giving them the benefit of the doubt. They've played on the road, whole regular season, also preseason. Yeah, we're gonna find out. After this is their first little homestand, so hopefully that helps things. Not trying to excuse the lack of offense, and I'm not really a fan of Hackstall's tactics, but they are putting enough pucks on net to expect something closer to offensive mediocrity than this. Yes, I will say, in the Columbus game, even some in the Nashville game, certainly last night, not so much tonight. They've had a lot of good chances where just they've had bad bounces, and that's just part of hockey. If you were to graph all of the major sports on most random to least random, hockey, the NHL would firmly be the one that leans heaviest random, just because the puck can do all sorts of stuff, hits a little divot in the ice. You just never know what's going to happen, what kind of rebound it'll take off a pad or a board. And, we saw that. Donato had a close shot that didn't go in the other day. Donskoy had one. Eberle had one. Like, those over the course of an 82 game sample size, they're going to go in more often than they don't, but for right now they're just not going in. I think there's a little bit of time that, and we can look at shot totals, which were much better tonight, but quality of chance also comes into play a little bit there, and some of their shots haven't been goals that you'd expect to shots you'd expect to score.
Yep.
Hit on Geeky should have been 5-minute major for elbowing targeting plus 10-minute misconduct call. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree on that
I
one.
don't
Well,
know
one,
that.
it's not elbowing too, because it was a shoulder that got him. The elbow never came up and hit him, so it's not elbowing. Hit to the head, sure. Yeah, I wouldn't have gone with a major. I think it's a 2-minute minor for that, but it's on that line. I think. I don't know. What do you think, Dylan?
Yeah, I think a penalty should be called. I wouldn't give it a misconduct. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Especially because neither of us think there's going to be a suspension or anything. It wasn't that egregious. We've seen so much worse. Yeah, I think it's just one of those judgment calls, and the refs just missed it. Why did Donato get a penalty for defending the hit on Geeky? Do you want to explain the instigator rule?
Um. Yeah. I mean, basically, you have to have both guys in a fight be willing participants and combatants in the fight. If there's a hit, you can't just, if you go after someone in a fight and they're not ready to fight, it's you get an extra 2 minutes for that. That's the instigator. Dylan, do you remember the exact language on it? Because I'm blanking on it. I looked it up mid game too, and it's but
Yeah,
that's the general concept behind it.
yeah, it's mostly just to protect people. All players know that, when you do something like that, you are most likely going to have to fight for it. It's just to help keep guys from getting completely jumped, right? Where like you don't want guys to just jump on somebody's back and start throwing haymakers on them from behind or something like that. So that's why it's there. If you start the fight before the other guy is totally prepared for it and kind of set, and it's obvious both parties are going to do this, then you get that penalty for instigating the fight. It's there for ultimately for player safety reasons.
Mm-hmm.
If
So go ahead.
Yeah, no, everybody just talking about the Donato hit, or the hit on Geeky. If the NHL was concerned about player safety, it would be referring to the potential penalties for the hit. It's so hard, fast like that, and then like we mentioned already, they don't send it to Toronto or anything. So
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure if the referees could look back at that and had the benefit of replay, they would have called a penalty on that if that was how it worked.
yeah. I have a question about online blogs. Being a huge Kings fan, we have LA Kings Insider or HF Boards Talk. Does the Kraken have an online forum for us armchair GMs?
Hmm.
I mean, there's
I
always
am not.
Reddit, but
Yeah, I mean, there's the Kraken subreddit, but it doesn't. I don't know. You talk about armchair GMs. There's not a whole lot of deep roster discussion that I've seen going on there. I mean, HF
yeah,
Boards kind of covers all the teams, right? There
yeah,
should
we're
be a
seeing
team
that
for
below in
everything.
chat.
Oh,
Liam's
okay.
bringing that up. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not. Yeah, not aware of any others. Yeah,
Uh,
no.
yeah. Yanni Gord is a dog of war. True hockey player. That he
Love it.
is. He,
Sure is.
we're seeing a couple things here. Gord skates miles, deep on both forecheck and back check. Amazing skater, really stands out on the team. Looked like he was in mid-season form. He's going to light it up a lot this year. Yeah, again, Yanni Gord is just, he's that kind of guy. That's why we were excited to have him. He's always going to go 110%. That's the same stuff I was seeing when I was scouting Beniers at Michigan last year. That's why I was really
Mhm.
excited for the Kraken to draft him. It makes a difference when you have a guy out there who's giving it his all like that. It inspires everyone else on the ice to do the same, and it makes a difference just in the sense that he's actually in positions to do stuff then, right? And that's
You find yourself in the play a lot more often. There are certain guys where it feels the puck kind of finds them, and it's not by accident. It's because they put themselves in the right place, and a lot of times that takes a little bit of extra skating, and Gord's certainly not afraid to do that.
yeah, conditioning's important, and as you said, puck finds those guys. They know what to do with it too. They're some of the most creative players as well because they can think on their feet so well. That's how they can play such good offense and defense. And I do think that's something the Kraken need, is somebody who can, again, take what the defense gives you, make a play off that. They haven't really been doing a lot of that, but Gord was trying to get that going tonight. Some talk about the HF boards.
It's good. It's quiet. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Everyone needs. It's totally a different format basically, but everyone needs to come here for these post games.
Yeah.
We'll chat Kraken
Yeah.
hockey, can bounce ideas off each other. It's a good time.
Yeah. We got a quick update on the Thunderbirds. They're up 2-0 now. It's
All right,
good to
here we
hear.
go.
How are you rating the goalies so far since we got to see Decord tonight? I mean I would rate, I think he's been the best so far preseason and regular season. It's hard for like Drieger. We saw half a game that was already a
Yeah,
blowout.
it's not enough to put a rating on Drieger, but yeah, Decord, I think he's been excellent. Top marks for him. Grubauer, he's been really solid, really dialed in at times. Other times, just okay. Yeah, so I don't know what rating system we'd want to use, but
Yeah.
it gives the general feel for it.
Yeah, we'll figure out a rating system once we get a little bit more of a sample size on them. I will say, Grubauer seems to kind of play up or down to how his defense is playing in front of him.
Hmm.
Like Decord really stepped up huge a couple times tonight. Grubauer has done that other times, and at other times there's been some maybe soft goals. Thoughts on the power play so far? It's getting better. That's
Yes, it is improving. It is improving. Yeah, they had a kind of an 0 for 8 stretch, but they were getting good, over the last 2.5 games, but they were getting good looks, especially tonight. It's improving. There's a little bit more kind of puck movement. I think having Gord there helped, because a lot, because um, teams had to respect him, I guess, more than anyone else you'd put out on that right side, and that just opens up some things, and his creativity as well. But yeah, I liked having Gord there.
yeah, Gord playing kind of where he was playing. He wasn't totally up against the boards. He wanted to drift more into that kind of pseudo slot area. That helped things. The other thing was having McCann now play winger the way he was kicked out. They weren't really playing a 1-3-1 anymore. When
No, they
McCann was
weren't,
out
which
there,
I'm sure you're happy about.
I was happy about it because it was a lot more fluid. Guys were moving around, they were cycling, they were moving instead of being stagnant, which is, again, something I think should also be happening 5-on-5 for them personally. I think, just constant movements like sharks, right? You just got to do that. Pointed that out in the Brant Clark scouting video that I liked about him. Right, he creates a lot of offensive opportunities for himself just because he's constantly moving, and that's what Yanni Gourde does as well. And McCann was starting to do that on the power play. He was sometimes at the half board, sometimes back at the point. He would drift into the slot. Of course, we saw him, score that power play goal late in the game.
Curled around before shooting it.
Mm-hmm. So I do think all that stuff's important. I think having Yanni Gourde back is going to kind of open things up just because he's again he's playing to what the defense is doing. He wants to make something happen. He's not going to just sit in a rigid system, and I think that's going to get everybody else doing the same thing. How'd you guys rate the defense through the first 5 games so far? Overall, kind of disappointing, just given the amount of quality defensemen they've had. Don't know how
Yep.
much of that's their fault, given the deep pairings were shuffled around a ton,
Hmm.
tough road trip, all that
Yep.
stuff. Guys have been hurt in and out of the lineup.
It doesn't seem like a problem of talent to me. They just need to figure out the systems.
Yeah, thought their 5-on-4 was better than the 5-on-3. 5-on-3s are weird because you have so much time and space, and
Yep.
some teams just they kind of clam up and they get shy for some reason. Even though, again, throw the puck at the net, you have the numbers to win out in the
Yeah.
rebound battle. Like,
So I think the Kraken did do that. I think they hesitated a bit more. It didn't look all that good to me, but you'd be surprised like how many teams actually look that way on a 5-on-3, even who have had time to practice it together and everything. And if they have weapons, what bugs me the most about my biggest pet peeve for a 5-on-3 is when teams don't get low into the zone and they just keep it on the like by the blue line. When you have so much more room to work up, you really need to like put pressure on those 3 guys, send them as low as you possibly can because they can't come up and pressure you. So you got to really take that space. And that's one thing that early in the 5-on-3 tonight, I thought the Kraken did a bad job of. Giordano was staying way too
mm-hmm.
high. It got a little bit better toward the end and then they score. So yeah, that's one thing I'd like to see a little different.
No, for sure. And kind of while we're talking about the power play, we've seen it 2 games in a row now. Unfortunately, both times the penalty was called on the Kraken, but the league is doing a good job of sticking to their word. They are calling those cross-checking penalties, which in my mind, further reason to go net front if you're the Kraken offense. That's where a lot of those happen as the D is trying to clear guys out. Maybe we can draw some more power plays by sending guys towards the net, getting in the
Yep.
way of the defense. I think that's something to consider. I think the power play gets a C-. It definitely deserves a passing grade, but
Yeah.
not high marks yet. Definitely glad you guys are here for the post games. Better than watching Root Sports. Thank you for that.
Thanks for the compliment. Yeah.
Yeah. Based only on performance, who's your top forward line and D pairing so far this season? Starting with the D pairs, those first couple games, I would have said for sure Alexiak Larson. but I feel like they've
Hmm.
kind of trailed off as things have gone on. Up until this game, I also really liked Giordano Susi, but then Giordano kind of laid that egg tonight. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like every D pair is kind of giving you some good, some bad, on balance. Um, you know, it, I don't almost go with Giordano Flurry. We didn't see it
Yeah,
very much, but I liked it for the limited time we did see it. Yeah, I like that pairing. I'd like to see it together again, but I don't feel like that's a fair answer since they weren't together for a whole lot of time.
yeah.
How about the forward lines?
I mean, it's got to be the Geek Squad, right?
Yep, yep, for sure. I mean, Geeky, Donato, and Tanev on that line. I mean, gotta love it. They just work so well together.
Yeah, and they were producing the most offense for them, really heading into this game. That being said, now that Gord's back, stays centering that top line, that line could definitely get some stuff done.
Hmm.
Um, how would you guys rank the 5 games from good to Philly? I guess the Nashville game's got to go first because they won, right? Like,
Yeah, let's start with that.
yeah. I might put the Vegas game too.
Right. I mean, and considering the opponent, I think that might be more impressive in some ways. Certainly, if you just take out the first 10 minutes or whatever, which you could kind of, it's easy to write off because the first 10 minutes of the season. But yeah, I mean, I thought the Vegas game was impressive.
Yeah,
I don't know. You kind of separated into like those two in that top tier that are closer to good, and then the Columbus game, which is in the middle, and then I guess slightly lower down tonight, and then Philly.
yeah, that's probably what I would do too. Again, that third period of that Columbus game really drags down that whole performance, but those first 2 periods were good. Um, obviously just getting started, so easily can change. But best/biggest disappointment out of our defense so far. Question open to chat as well. Um, Lauzon, although again he's been getting better, so I kind of feel bad.
Yeah, and I hesitate to call him biggest disappointment because I don't think we had all that high expectations going into the season.
No, so if Giordano continues to play like this, slot him in there.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, should Haxall keep shuffling guys or just stick with the D pairings and hope that they just get some chemistry? I I like I don't know. At some point you have to settle them down so guys can build chemistry. I still don't like the Dunn Lauzon pairing. It just doesn't seem to make sense out there. Neither one of them seems like they're on the same page just because their styles are so different.
Yeah, I want to see done with someone else, preferably one of the more established guys. I mean, I think one of the whole points of having a guy like Vince Dunn is he's going to take a lot of these chances in the offensive zone. I want to give him someone kind of more steady to be partnered with, where he can feel a little bit safer about taking some of the risks that he does. I mean, it hasn't seemed to really stop him anyway so far, but where he can, I guess, be safer taking some of the risks that he does. So I want to see that. And also get Will Borgen in a game, please. Can we see Will Borgen?
I
Come
don't
on.
know. I don't know what it's gonna take at this point because we've had injuries and it still doesn't seem to get him in there. It'll be interesting. I got to think though, maybe after these last 2 games, they'll reevaluate things over the course of this week and maybe for Saturday, maybe we'll
Yeah,
see.
this would be the time to do it.
Yeah. Just from watching, haven't gone back and broke anything down. I haven't been impressed with Lazan. Is that how you've seen him? Yeah, he was definitely rough those first couple games. A lot of puck chasing in his own zone, drifting out of position, leaving the slot open or leaving his guy open. But getting better. The last 2 games we haven't, there hasn't been any of that, thankfully. Is my guy Jared McCann going to have the most points?
Okay. I think he might have the most goals. I'm gonna stick with my pick from before the season to be points leader of the Kraken. I made a very bold pick, if you recall from our preview episode predicting the leaders. I said Yanni Gord would be the Kraken points leader, and I'm gonna stand by that. It's aged very well. I'm not going to abandon it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good one, especially with how soon he's come back. So, um, yeah, but the way things are going right now, I'd definitely say McCann's in the driver's seat to lead the team in goals just because of opportunity times, his willingness to shoot the puck when other guys don't seem willing to. But I could also see Wenberg getting hot at some point.
Yeah,
He's looked better and better every game, and I know he got that goal called back tonight, but that did showcase his shot because he shot that thing
yeah,
from
which we
pretty
hadn't
far
seen a whole
out.
lot prior to that, but it was great to see.
Yeah, and we know he's an excellent passer. I want to see Giordano with Dunn. We saw that a little
We
bit in the preseason.
Yes, we did see it a little bit in the preseason. In my opinion, it did not go well. You kind of had both guys who were both offensively minded guys, and they did pretty well in the offensive zone, but everywhere else on the ice, it was kind of a mess. So I had seen enough of that personally, but it would be interesting for sure to see it in the regular season.
Yeah, I'd probably rather see Vince Dunn with Adam Larson, but yeah, it was just rough because both guys would pinch up a lot, and then all of a sudden you've got nobody back, and that created some issues. If Giordano is going to commit to kind of being a more stable defensive presence as part of that pairing, I say go for it. But that wasn't the case in the preseason. Home opener should be exciting and the rest needed. Time to see if Hackstall can make some adjustments that work. 100% agree. That's what this time off is for. Hopefully they can, kind of regroup after these last couple games, go over some tape, you know, settle on some lines for a couple practices in a row, hopefully, and figure out what they want to do. T-Birds update, end of the first period, 2-0 still. Shots on goal, 10-9 T-Birds. Awesome. Thank you for the updates, by the way. Appreciate that. Guys just need some rest. 5-game road trip to start the season against fresh teams is brutal. Yeah, and it's 5-game road trip in a very, very short window. And again, I really do think starting it off the way they did, where it was, night before, hey, 4 guys are going to be out of the lineup. They're not making the trip with you. And then the next day, oh, this one's back. And as little as just a couple hours before puck drop, you have guys being reinserted into the lineup, other guys coming off that were in that morning skate. I just think that sets a tone because right from there, you're on a plane to Nashville and it all carries over. Gord spots the team 4 games, goes on to lead team in points by 20. Yeah.
Just as I predicted.
Yes.
Maybe I didn't think it would be as few as 4 games.
Yeah. Fast forward to the end of the year. Do you think we will go with a highly skilled forward or defenseman, UFA? Not sure what our cap space looks like. They have cap space.
They'll definitely have the space for it if that's what they want to do.
Yeah. It's really hard to think that far in advance.
So much of it depends on just how the rest of the season shakes out and what the team ends up looking by the end of it. I mean, yeah, it's got to depend on just how far they're able to go. We don't know whether they're a playoff team or not, or we just don't know.
I was gonna say I would stick with the prediction that they're gonna make the playoffs. In which case, kind of see what happens in the playoffs if there's an obvious need there once playoff hockey hits. But yeah, as of right
and that's
now,
usually what front offices do. They look at what they were missing in the playoffs and go get that.
Yeah, they see what the other team had that they didn't, and all of a sudden they go buy 12 of them. But yes, otherwise, highly skilled forward, always helpful. High scoring forwards, definitely give us as many of those as possible. Any surprises so far from around the league for you, RJ? For Aaron here, it's the Ducks looking as good as they are. The Ducks have been surprisingly good considering that really young lineup.
I'm gonna go like all of California. I mean, the Sharks look good again tonight. They're 2-0. They're atop the division. The Ducks, as you mentioned, and the Kings look certainly better than I thought they were going to be. I know you were more bullish on them than I was, Dylan, but they've looked pretty good so far.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Well, they did lose tonight. I'm just seeing.
Yeah. So. No, I'm with you. California has been the surprise. All of a sudden, this division that was supposed to be really easy might not be so easy anymore for the Kraken.
Also, the 3-0 Sabres. Got to give them a quick shout out.
Two-Tone talking about how rough it is to hop on a plane like that every day or two. For sure. It's not easy because, got to remember, it's not like they go hop on a plane the moment the game ends, right? Like, they got to go, they got to get undressed, redressed, deal any of the media availability stuff that they need to do, board a bus, go to the airport. A lot of times, teams talk about that stuff where you're, it could be well past midnight by the time you're getting on the plane flying somewhere, and then you get in at 5 in the morning. You now got to go get in a car, drive home, get settled, go to sleep. Like it's a mess. um
Yep.
Mad
Yeah,
respect to all professional
sleep is something that's
athletes.
not talked about enough, but yeah, that can be a big factor.
Mm-hmm. Had to leave early second period, but the energy level was back, and Gord's impact immediate. Saw minimum 2 of his passes go right through the crease without even a stick on it. Yeah, I think that's going to be something that is going to get. It's going to change as Eberle and Schwartz
Mhm.
get used to playing with him.
And as much as I like McCann's game, he's not sending a whole lot of passes cross crease.
Mm-hmm.
And Wenberg isn't really either. His passes are going kind of higher in the slot, so it's just something different that those wingers have to learn to deal with.
Yes, but something that I think is needed.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
uh, is it time to have an exorcism for Eberle's stick? Yeah, go
If
for
he's
it.
been using the same stick every game, like just get rid of it. Just try another one.
Burn it, whatever, wood chipper, anything works. How do you think Matty Beniers fits with this team? Well, if he was to slot in today, I'd say as a very discount Yanni Gord kind of guy. But I think given a whole nother year of developing at Michigan, I think he can come in, kind of do in a lot of ways what Geeky's been doing. Be a guy, good on face-offs, come in, bring energy. Like I was saying earlier, he's got that same kind of motor as Yanni Gord. He's going 110% of the time. That inspires guys on the ice. Super great forechecker, great defensively. He can skate circles around anybody. And so I think, just all of that kind of coming together would help give them a good, second line option to Yanni Gord that can keep energy levels up, keep offensive pressures up, while also being very responsible defensively.
Yeah, or if you wanted to, for the start, drop to third line center and just get a whole bunch of mismatches there, you could do that too.
Mm-hmm. Buffalo, probably as the surprise.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know what you're talking about. I had them for this all along.
Oh yeah, didn't we all?
Yeah, while we were in Vegas, I bet that over under win total of 5. What home games do you guys plan on attending? I got tickets for the Sabres game on 11/4 and I'm super stoked. So you're going to the home opener on Saturday. Otherwise, I don't think we have anything specific planned, right?
Right, and we'll have to see, on the press situation. I think you have to RSVP for every game individually, so we'll see. I mean, I live right by the arena. I'd like to go as many as possible in order to help you guys get the best, give you the best coverage we can. So we'll see on that.
Yeah. Thanks very much for the super chat, Diamond Jim. Thanks guys for the energy and positivity even after the losses. Yeah, that's what we're here for, is just to talk about the games. It's not just us that's been bringing the energy and positivity, but everybody in chat too. It's been really great to see.
Absolutely, it's been the whole community, keeping it going, bringing it the energy every night, and especially after the losses, especially like last night too, keeping it going, keeping it positive. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to look ahead. So how many wins do you predict we'll get in the first homestand? David's going with 2 Canucks and Canadians.
Okay, let's take a look at the old calendar.
I know I was going to say, I'm trying to remember.
I should have this memorized at this point.
So
it's tough.
It's 4 games. You got Vancouver on Saturday, Montreal next Tuesday, Minnesota Thursday, and then the Rangers on Halloween night. I think if the Kraken rebound and play the way they did in those first 2 games, I mean, the Kraken, I think, are better than all 4 of those teams. So
they are.
So I would say 3.
I was gonna go with 3. I was gonna say I think they take the home opener against Vancouver. I think they're gonna be fired up, ready to go for that game. I mean, watch out, Canucks. I just think you're gonna see a lot of energy from the Kraken there. Montreal just looks so bad. They're 0-4 now. Kraken really should be able to beat them, just given the way that they're playing. Minnesota's a tough one. I think that's probably where the loss comes. Minnesota's a very good opponent.
Yep.
Yeah, and the Rangers, I could see it being a close one, but I'll give it to the Kraken if they can kind of turn it around and win 2 of the previous 3.
I was gonna say that one's close. The Minnesota's the tough one. Realistically, maybe a 2-1-1. They pick up 5 points out of it all, which I think would be a good first homestand given what they're coming off of. Think the Sharks will fall away due to all the stuff going on in that organization. A lot of stuff going on in that organization right now, off the
Oh, for
ice.
sure.
But but they've looked pretty good on the ice in spite of it all. You do get the sense that they're really trying to change the attitude on that team. Guys
Right.
like Logan Couture, it really seems like that's a focus for him. It even seems like Erik Karlsson's kind of come back into this year with a renewed, I'm better mentality.
Right. He's got 4 points in 2 games.
Yeah. So might be seeing a return to prime Karlsson, which
Yeah, I think you're going to see them as a team that's maybe a little short on talent but big on heart.
mhm,
And they're going to give some teams a run for their money.
yeah. Will you guys be doing any fan gatherings during home games? Not sure what good bars are up there. No, we don't have anything planned for that. We know 32 Crew has some stuff set up for that. We have been talking about doing some live streams though, where we kind of give commentary alongside the game, and then people can join in chat because we do have a lot
Yep.
of fans that aren't in the Seattle area. So
Yep. So they could
we
join
know,
us with those
yeah,
too. And Dylan and I are always saying, we always have a lot to talk about during the game, just little comments and stuff that can't all make it onto Twitter or onto these. So there's lots to talk about.
yeah. To me, it felt like Gord and Tanev had the most energy tonight. Would you put them on the same line, or do you think it's better served to keep them apart? I think it's better served to keep them apart, just
Yeah. I
just
think
because of their style of play and everything.
Yeah, I just don't know that it meshes the best, and they kind of bring similar things, and you want it on two lines, that energy, instead of just having it all on one.
Yeah, Two Tone, much better positivity than the hockey guy he has had for us. He's been brutal. They look like an expansion team. How dare he say that about our expansion team? I'm not gonna
I
stand
know.
for it.
Yeah, I will let him know right away
Hmm.
somehow. Just getting those comments.
Yeah,
No, he does good work. He's just, yeah, he can be a little rougher on them too. I mean, he's going on with a league wide thing too. Um, yeah, and I'm sure the controversy helps.
yeah,
It fuels those comments.
yeah. Um, Brian referring back to the Sharks thing, saying it might, Kane being suspended for the 21 games might be a bonding moment for the Sharks to help keep that momentum going. It's certainly a possibility.
And it looks like that so far. They're all just kind of seem like, all right, he's not here, but we're together. We're a group. Let's focus on us.
Yeah, only positive thing the hockey guys said about us is us leading the league in penalty minutes. Hey, somebody's got to.
Yeah, someone has to do it. Why not us?
If this was the 90s, that would mean we were also the best team in hockey. So
Clearly.
take that as a couple decades late compliment. May just be me or wishful thinking, but Vancouver may be our best matchup yet. Don't think they can hang with us physically. I haven't seen them play too much so far this season. They made a lot of changes during the off season, so I don't know.
Yeah,
That might have
they've
changed.
played. Yeah, they've played 2 games. They lost to Philly in overtime, and then they lost to Buffalo tonight. Which, I mean, 3-0 Buffalo, but still, I don't know. I looking at last season's Canucks. No, I don't think they could hang with the Kraken physically, but I know they've tried to change that at least a little bit.
Yeah. So well, we'll see. We'll see Saturday night. Should be a good game. Kane seemed disruptive to the locker room. I know I wouldn't want to play with a guy with that much drama. Yeah, and that's kind of been the rumbling from that locker room is that guys don't necessarily want him to come back. It's
Yeah.
it's an
And it
interesting.
shows the importance, especially with him gone and the Sharks having early success. It shows the importance of having just a good locker room with good people. And the Kraken, I'm glad the Kraken are focused on that. They talked about character from the very start, and I think you're seeing that a lot early on. Certainly with these players standing up for their teammates as much as they have early on. That shows there's a locker room with character where the players care about each other.
Mhm.
And they don't feel that anyone's just kind of, we don't like him and we're not going to stand up for him. So it's not the case here, which is good.
Yeah, definitely. Kane is to the NHL what Terrell Owens was to the NFL. Eventually, being a punk has little market value, and you're out of the league. Certainly, once your production drops off, and
Yeah, as soon as you stop, being useful enough that people can overlook things.
yeah. Sometimes drama can bring a team together, especially if the drama is suspended and not in the locker room. Love that. Went to the Hockey Guys meetup a couple years ago. Super nice guy in person, but yeah, he's been brutal to us. It's, I look, after like last night and stuff, it might be a little warranted at times. Could Blackwell provide a much needed offensive shot in the arm when he comes back? I think so. I think he's just going to be another good depth scoring option. He's one of those guys that, he has good shot. He has good positioning offensively. He knows what to do to kind of create chances for himself. And I feel like that's something the Kraken have missed. And he's also somebody that just seems to have that good puck luck.
Yeah, I know. Just pucks seem to go in for him, but it's because he's creating those chances. But yeah, the next comment, yeah, energy is definitely something more that he brings. And it's a little different than like a Tanev or a Bastion. Tanev's kind of got that more physical energy. He's going to mix it up. Bastion is going to be heavy on the forecheck with a 6'4" frame. Blackwell brings almost more like an offensive, skilled kind of energy. But he's not afraid to go to the dirty areas too. So I think it'll be a good piece to get back.
Yeah.
Who knows when that'll happen though?
Yeah, hoping for news on that this week at some point. That would be nice, just to have a timetable in mind even. Yep. What do you guys think about teams relaxing their game day dress codes? Do you think the Kraken should follow suit? Personally, I think every team should decide it for themselves by asking the players. If the players would be more comfortable, more confident, all that stuff from having a relaxed dress code, I say go for it. I don't think you need to stand on tradition. Everybody needs to be wearing a three-piece suit when they walk into the room or anything. But if the team does want that tradition to continue, they are comfortable with it and they kind of like that. Maybe they're afraid to show off what their personal style is. You never know. I say you stick with that, but I would go based on what the players on my team want to do.
Yeah, I think that's the way to handle it.
Want Hackstall to sort out the confusing D pairs for sure. I think that'll happen over this week.
Yeah.
One team that I think will really surprise is the Wings, because Stevie is a mad genius. He is. I don't know that they're going to surprise this year, but I mean, already that draft that they had was fantastic. And
in 2-3 years, look out.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing for sure. Feel like the Kraken have been competitive minus the loss to Philly. If we could stop a few goals early, we could easily be winning more games, right? Yes, for sure.
Yeah, just don't go down 2-0 early.
Yeah.
That would go a long way.
Yeah. All right, though. We're a little over the hour mark, so I think we're going to call this one. I know. Yeah, when you're not grieving a 6-1 loss like last night, things are a little nicer. But that's going to do it for this one. Thanks everybody for stopping by. Thanks for everybody in chat. It's awesome that we're all here. Yep, start of the second period for the Thunderbirds game. Go watch that. We'll see you all next time, after that the home opener on Saturday, as far as this post-game show. So look forward to that, and hopefully the Kraken get some much deserved rest at home.
Yes.
Bye, everybody.